So bring the magic home. Why did I choose this title and the really long subtitle? Disney is pretty much everywhere. You guys see, we go to the theater, we watch a movie, it's 2 hours long, but that experience follows us home. You'll see Mickey Mouse on your diapers, your kids' diapers. You'll see Mickey Mouse on T-shirts at Uniqlo. You really see it everywhere, and we've got a game where Disney is literally in your pocket if you're playing Disney Magic Kingdoms. So yeah, that's why we bring it home. Who am I? Why do you want to listen to me today? I'm the product manager at Gameloft on Disney Magic Kingdoms. Pretty straightforward. I'm also a husband and a dad. Why do I say that? It takes up a lot of my time outside of work. For those with young kids at home, you'll understand that your day is never really over. You're lucky if you get a few minutes at night to yourself to kind of chill out. And so a lot of my time is really DMK and my family. So it's a really, I take a lot of pride in that, and I really enjoy all this time. But mostly I'm saying I'm a husband and a dad, so I have free reign to make dad jokes for the rest of this talk. So prepare yourselves. My background's a little bit fun. I started in as a quality assurance tester 12 years ago, which makes me feel a lot older than I am. That was a summer job to kind of pay the bills, get me through school. I did a lot of creative writing at university, got my BA there, and then somehow ended up in business teams in games, which is, I don't exactly know how it happened, but here I am. I've been a LiveOps manager, and now, like I mentioned, a product manager at Gameloft. Yeah. So why will you like this talk? If you work with IPs, you'll definitely enjoy this. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking about what it's like working with Disney. If you run a LiveOps product, so I know we have a lot of game companies here, you'll be able to relate to some of these strategies and some of the efforts we've done. If you like App Store featuring, I'll definitely be talking on this as well. I have a big focus on organic with this talk. If you're into designing games or narratives in games, this is another thing I'll touch on. And finally, if you love Disney, I know a lot of people do, you're definitely going to enjoy this talk. Can anyone tell me who this is? Who is this? Someone yell it out. Nemo? You're wrong. Nemo's got a small fin. This is Nemo's dad, Marlin. Dad jokes. And cool. So let's jump into it. The next two slides are very much kind of a high-level look at some of the organic reach we've had. So this is going to set up kind of what I want to look into a few case studies. But basically, at a high level, you kind of see that baseline organic installs are definitely at the bottom here. We do get some featuring that aren't related to movie releases. But ultimately, when we sync up our movie release featuring with our LiveOps efforts with movie releases, we see the best return in terms of organic. Up to like 387% in 2017. Beauty and the Beast was a big hit for us. We've kind of stabilized in the last 2 years on that front. 100%, 200%. Featuring still does well, but it still doesn't hit the same levels as when we really sync up with the movie releases. While I was looking at that, I also realized that there's kind of been a downward trend in terms of the regular featuring we get. I think this speaks to just the competition increasing on the App Store. There's a lot more apps out there, a lot more games pushing for space on the App Stores. You see people getting pushed back. The impact isn't as high. But the big thing for me with DMK's Edge is that we've been able to continue to leverage those movie releases, and you can see the difference and how we've really stabilized. Even though there's a downward trend with the regular featuring, we still have a lot of organic installs coming when we sync up. So I'm going to get into kind of the fun stuff, and that's where the LiveOps kicks in. I've got 4 kind of case studies to look at, so I'll go back to the really successful Beauty and the Beast in 2017. I've got Incredibles 2 release, in which we brought out JackJack. I've got Mickey's 90th birthday campaign, which, as I'll say, is not a movie release, but I think it's worth talking about. And the WreckIt Ralph 2 movie that came out, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and the kind of efforts we did around these. So first off, Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure you guys have seen this one. 2017, they came out with a live-action film. So we, at DMK, hadn't released our Beauty and the Beast IP within the game yet. So this was a great opportunity to do so, even though it wasn't the classic new movie being released. It's a brand new live action. It was still really a great opportunity. So I call this kind of the perfect storm. There was a lot happening. On that date, March 17, 2017, the movie came out. It was DMK's 1-year anniversary, so there were some efforts around that. The mega event, Chapter 4, begins, which is what I'll get to explain why that's important, which is we released Belle on that day, Chip, who was a popular character, and also the boss battle unlocked. So you might be wondering, what the hell is a mega event? So I'll give you kind of a high-level idea of what that is. For those who are in games, this will be pretty clear. For those who aren't, like hopefully this helps. Pretty much it's a limited time, 30-day roughly event where we release new content in waves or chapters. Often it's like 7 characters and or costumes. We'll have new attractions that users can place down in the park. We'll have concessions that little visitors that come through your park can actually go and wear items. There's decorations and the float that also runs. I won't get into the specifics of this. Honestly, just go play our game if you're curious. And ultimately, during this 30-day period, you're going to be earning event currency that you then exchange to buy the new characters that we're releasing. And there's also a mix of that's how you buy your free characters, let's say. But then ultimately, there's also a premium aspect where if you buy those characters, they're going to give you kind of a boost and give you an edge at actually getting everything we're releasing. How did it perform? Well, this broke all our revenue records back in 2017. That second spike in the yellow graph is that Chapter 4 unlock that I spoke of on March 17th. And you can see, in terms of organic installs, with the push, with the movie release, we also hit a new high there in terms of users coming in. And the synergy between that, obviously, it's just you're getting new users in, they like the content, you're giving them the content. It's perfect timing. JackJack. So with The Incredibles, it's kind of interesting because we had a problem where we had a new movie, but we already had Incredibles content in our game. So what do, right? The opportunity is that we didn't, and maybe with some foresight, have JackJack in the original roster. And the second movie was a fixture. He was like a big fixture of that movie. If you've seen it, you know JackJack. Well, I don't want to give spoilers, but go watch the movie. He plays a fun role. If not a main character, he's still got a nice sub-story. So the solution we came up with was tower events. So this is a diversion from our mega events that I just spoke of. Basically, it was a way to leverage our kind of existing content in the game while producing less new content, which really helps in terms of production. We've got a SWAT team of animators and riggers and artists that work on all these characters. So to have an event in our repertoire that maybe uses a bit less new content and really makes use of the existing characters we have is good. The basic premise for the tower event is that Maleficent, who's cursed the kingdom, when you first come into the game, Maleficent's there. You've got to kind of remove her curse so you can build out your park. So good job, guys. You've been removing the curse, but now she's back. She's mad that you've been doing a good job. So you've got to kind of challenge the tower. And how you do this is you send in characters. The higher level they are, the more points you're going to get, the more progress you'll have. So therefore, again, it puts emphasis on leveling up your characters, something that the game didn't really actually push a whole lot before this event came out. And the main goal is for existing users is to go get JackJack, at least for this specific event. And then it also is pretty good for new users coming in because within the tower shop, you can buy some of the other characters for pretty cheap as long as you're engaged and earn that currency. So in terms of performance, it was a shorter event, but we still saw kind of like 3 really strong spikes in terms of each chapter unlock. For the tower event, it's 3 chapters, 5 days each. And at the beginning of each chapter, we really saw a big push. However, with this event, even though we synced it with the movie release, we had this, it's very much playing. We had a new feature to run. We still didn't get the organic kind of like a push that we saw. We didn't really get the featuring for this one. But my argument is that it's not a big deal because we actually tapped into our demographic. And we know that they love Disney movies. They're going to go watch Incredibles when it comes out. So when they go to play our game, they're going to come in and they're going to enjoy that. So how did it actually do? Well, it actually, against mega events, which are kind of like the bread and butter of DMK, it was about the 3rd best at the time. So just to kind of summarize there, the reasons for this is a new event type released. Even though we didn't have the featuring, there was still the movie synergy. It leveraged existing content, and it used that kind of shorter time period to really push the users to attain the content and play, rather than it be a 30-day process. It's more of a 15-day process. And I think the other kind of important aspect for us on a LiveOps point of view is it allows us to kind of fill in the gaps between mega events because they take so long to create and push out. And when new movies come out that maybe we've already have the content for, we have a kind of way of introducing at least one new character from those IPs through the tower event. Mickey's 90th. So yeah, not a movie release, but this was a huge marketing push. Disney went pretty big on this one. You saw a lot of different companies kind of trying to jump on the bandwagon, get involved. You see, it's kind of like when Star Wars comes out and you got Duracell commercials, you've got the Rogue One movie was out and you've got Nissan like pushing their Rogue car. Like everyone was just trying to get in on this. At DMK, we're in a unique opportunity because, well, obviously we're a Disney game, but Mickey is our first character. So if we're going to get new organic users in with this campaign, they're going to have access to Mickey right away. So our pitch to Disney and then to the app stores was this idea of classic costumes. Everything in grayscale. We even had the classic Steamboat Willie attraction. And you can see it really stood out on the App Store because we even redid our app icon, which is actually pretty rare for our game. But we were able to do it. We swapped the Mickey for classic Mickey, put it all in grayscale, and it really stood out on the pages for organic searches. So yeah, I mean, we also kind of put in the classic Pete costume. And one of the cool things about this one is that up until this point, there was no actual official marketing pose for Classic Pete. So from here on out, Disney's going to be using DMK or Gameloft's version of Pete moving forward, which I think is kind of cool. I think it's a nice nod to the team for the work that they've done. Here you see this is the Steamboat attraction. Mickey and Minnie are putting on a little song. Apparently someone's wondering where Goofy's at, but that's all right. Maybe he'll get a classic costume some point in the future. We'll see. And we even did our Marc-Andre and Julia. For those who know the community, they're actually pretty infamous. Live streams. Marc-Andre gets a ton of comments about his beard on Reddit all the time. They actually put their live stream in black and white also. So it was just like every kind of touch point we really pushed into this black and white theme. There's something about Mickey. In terms of those new users coming in, day one revenue, it spiked like crazy. We got a lot of organic lift from here. And they came in and they spent money. And they got engaged with the mini event we ran that gave them early access to the content. And then when I looked back at the organic lifetime value of these users, it's still pretty high. It's not the 150% we saw for D1, but a lot of these users stuck around and they continue to be valuable to the game. And here you see the actual spike in organic installs. It's not Little Mermaid level, which I'm not talking about today, but Little Mermaid is kind of the top of the top for DMK. Everyone loves the Mermaid. Beauty and the Beast kind of took a back seat for the first time when we released that content. You also see kind of a spike from Christopher Robin, which I didn't talk to specifically, but that was another tower event where we linked it to the live-action movie release. But yeah, ultimately, Mickey, it was a short but very effective period. So even though that campaign probably, the organic lift from featuring lasted maybe a day or two, those users are still in the app. They're still important to us. So it was a great kind of effort. The last but not least case study I want to talk about is Ralph Breaks the Internet. A glitch invades DMK. One of the big, before that, like one of the cool things that we did with this was, for the first time ever, we were linking in-game events and content release with a movie release. So we actually sent our narrative designer and our artist out to LA to get a pre-screening of the movie. And while they were there, they saw that this movie had comfy princesses. It was like, whoa, we know that our demographic loves the Disney princesses. This is like a huge opportunity, and they came back very excited about this. And the hard part was like, how are we going to pull this off? Because all the princesses are together, they're communicating, they don't look the same. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but even I believe in Disney parks, when different IPs cross paths, they're not allowed to even like recognize each other. And in DMK, we adhere to that rule because we're a Disney parks game. So when our characters, if they're from different IPs, they don't interact. So we had to come up with a kind of way to solve this problem, which I'll get to a bit more in a bit. There's also this kind of new character embargo. So you have Yes, Shank, and Spamly here. No one knew who these characters were before the movie released, and we had to time our event with the movie release so that we didn't kind of like spoil these characters in any way. Wasn't a problem for us. It was fine to kind of sync up with them. Vanellope's glitch. So in the movies, both 1 and 2, one of her powers to race is that she can kind of glitch in and out and get ahead of the pack in her races. And then the princess dressing room, which I'll showcase a bit more in a couple seconds, is something we introduced as a way to solve the comfy princess problem. And it's kind of a collection within a collection in that we're releasing these comfy costumes that now users are going to be able to get and equip their existing princesses with. Throwing back to Vanellope's glitch, is the way that we did this is essentially Vanellope's kind of, in a way, introduced the glitch from the movie into our game, because one of the basic premises of WreckIt Ralph 2 is that they connect to the internet and now they're free. So they've used the internet and now they're in our game. So it's kind of the way we've played with the narrative from Disney and really brought it into DMK. So actually, if you get these costumes in our game, they have a little animation that kind of they've got a glitch on them. So the fact that they've made it into our game is almost like it's basically a bug, but in a really great way. So throwing back to the princess room, we have this attraction. It's very low cost to get. It's like 500 magic, which is not it's an easy entry point for users. We've introduced new comfy princesses. There's still room for more. I believe we have 14 seats available, and we've only got the 7 comfy princesses as it is. So good chance you'll see some more in the future. This is like an ongoing kind of collection that's keeping users, and we're hoping that it'll continue to push. And this was really the big selling point for us for linking to WreckIt Ralph. How did it perform? It was, it's up there with some of our best mega events, which, if you look at WreckIt Ralph as a isolated, it's not your classic Disney princess movie, but using this comfy princess kind of arrow, this way to break in, we turned it into one of our best mega events of all times. So as you can see, in terms of organic installs, the support we got from this on app stores with the movie release was on par with Little Mermaid, which again was and remains our best event to date. So bring the magic home. The magic is everywhere. Just to kind of close out, movie releases plus LiveOps equals success for us. Get creative. So with JackJack, we took a problem and we turned it into a solution that performed really well for us. You can tap into key marketing moments, such as the Mickey 90th birthday, to provide long-term impact. So we still see a lot of success from our users who came in from that very short, brief, but effective period. Storytelling is core. DMK weaves in and out of Disney lore. Had to make a rhyme. So basically, we really build from the narratives of the movies. We kind of take a slice from the movie narrative itself and inject our story into it, so that when users come to our game, they get to kind of pick up where they left off from that movie experience. We're not done yet. I'm showing Dory, and this one is Nemo. You can tell by his little fin, because a lot of people will say that they're worried that maybe DMK, we've already got so many IPs in our game that maybe we're running out, but there's still a lot to come. We're still building out, and there's a lot of cool stuff that we're doing.
So I saw these organic spikes, and they go up, and they sustain for a day or two, or for a period maybe. But do you guys, IPs don't come for cheap anymore, but that's their biggest thing, that they bring organics to the game. When you do your analysis of the return on ad spend or returns in general, do you also include the IP cost into it? And part B is, are these organic installs enough to justify that IP, which I'm sure is, but do you guys have the numbers around it or anything you can share?
You're speaking specifically to each IP individually, so like The Incredibles or The
Right.
Little Mermaid, yeah. So the way we work is we work, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. We work directly with Disney, so like basically all that content is all one package deal. So it's not really so much that. I think that when something like The Lion King comes out, I think you'll see there's definitely going to be organic spikes in searches on the App Store, so you will see an uplift. But you're also bidding. It's kind of like interesting. I've always kind of questioned this. I don't think we've ever looked into it. But if we're trying to push Lion King, I'm sure Disney's also trying to push Lion King. So there's maybe a bit of a internal kind of a competition there. A lot of people are pushing on it. So you gotta find ways to like rise up and beat that. But yeah, in terms of the actual spend and such, like that's already accounted for going in.
Great. Yeah. And can you share a product, an initiative which didn't succeed as you expected, although everything suggested that this is absolutely going to work, and any thoughts on why it didn't?
It's a good question. I don't know if I have a straight up answer to that one. I think obviously there's always stuff that doesn't go as well as it did. I think I spoke to the JackJack one. I mean, that was a new event structure. The movie release, all it was there, like all the recipe was there. We didn't get the like organic featuring, for it. But I still think even though that wasn't there, we still succeeded with our user base, and that's what matters. So,
great.
You're asking if there are specific things that we've done within the LiveOps to leverage, to use for the featuring or for the organics? Yeah. Right. So I think I understand the question, so I'll answer it, and you can follow up if not. But the basic thing that we're doing with our events is that we want to make sure we have the content that relates to, let's say, the movie release. And then it might not be new features necessarily, but we have the content, we'll have offers around it. And then that's what we go and we also pitch to the app stores. So like when it comes to the organic lift, a lot of that's the featuring that we're going to get related to it. So we go to them and we say, hey, WreckIt Ralph 2 is coming out. We're going to have new characters from the movie that no one's seen before. We've got the comfy princesses that we believe is going to be a big hit. Here's all the really cool things we're doing in the app around this push. And then so they give us that like featuring position, and that's what drives the organic list. So it excludes the UA stuff. It's strictly just getting visibility on the App Store and using that kind of synergy between the movie releases and the in-game content and the LiveOps event that's time limited. I think that's the other key is like you have to come in and play now, or you're going to miss this content or this chance to earn this content for free.
When you work on the LiveOps, is it like 50-50, or like is there an ideation process where you work closely with Disney, or it all comes from Gameloft, or how does that process look like?
They're less, I think when it comes to Disney, they're less concerned about the exact like LiveOps, like the meat and potato LiveOps style. It's more about the respecting the brand, making sure that we're upholding the Disney quality. I think that over the last, the team's been working on it for 5 years. Like sometimes the team knows Disney rules better than Disney does, and we catch them missing stuff, and we catch ourselves, so there's, I think that speaks a lot to just like how we've taken ownership of that quality. And I think that's really the biggest thing when it comes to managing that relationship, which has gone well because Gameloft has more Disney games coming out in the near future, and DMK really set the path for that. So.
Quite.